A careless family let their dog roam free, and it nearly disfigured a child's face. A mother walking her kids to school watched in horror as a dog mauled her baby. Another mother's sweet dog suddenly turned predator. These are the moments when a family's best friend becomes their worst nightmare. When trust turns deadly, the Jackson Dvorak tragedy. The summer of 2024 was supposed to be a time of excitement for 6-year-old Jackson Dvorak, a bright and energetic boy from Lorain, Ohio. Described by his heartbroken mother as having a contagious smile and being a beam of sunshine, Jackson was the kind of child who brought joy to everyone around him. He loved playing Roblox, had an insatiable curiosity about the world around him, and was eagerly anticipating starting first grade at Palm Elementary School. On July 3, 2024, Jackson was visiting what reports suggest was his uncle's home on the 1700 block of East 31st Street. The house was home to multiple dogs, 2 adults, an adult pit bull, and a shepherd mix, along with 6 puppies, a situation that would prove catastrophically dangerous. Around 4 p.m. on that fateful Wednesday afternoon, something triggered one or both of the adult dogs to attack Jackson with savage intensity. There were no reports of the dogs having any documented history of aggression, aligning with the tragically common theme of trusted family pets suddenly turning deadly without warning. The 911 call that followed painted a horrifying picture of the aftermath. Jackson's uncle, in a state of desperate panic, told emergency operators that he believed the boy was dead, using the haunting phrase, "The dog ate his face," words that would echo in the minds of first responders long after that terrible day. When Lorain police and emergency medical services arrived, they found little Jackson had sustained injuries so severe that he was pronounced dead at the scene. His mother, Brittany Dvorak, expressed her profound grief on a GoFundMe page. "My heart is shattered. My world has collapsed." The presence of 6 puppies in the home suggested possible breeding activity which could have contributed to stress or territorial instability among the adult dogs. But the threat isn't limited to family pets. Sometimes the danger lurks on the streets too. Multiple dogs attack in Nagpur. The bustling streets of Nagpur, India, paint a complex picture of urban life, where modern development exists alongside age-old challenges. Among these challenges, few are as terrifying as the growing menace of aggressive stray dogs that roam the city's neighborhoods. The city has become a focal point for discussions about stray dog management after multiple attacks on children, with several incidents captured on CCTV cameras. One particularly disturbing incident that gained widespread attention involved a 6-year-old boy who became the victim of a coordinated attack by multiple stray dogs in a public area. The CCTV footage showed the child being overwhelmed by a pack of dogs in broad daylight, demonstrating the pack mentality that makes stray dogs exponentially more dangerous when hunting as a group. In August 2025, in the Tekka area of Nagpur, 6-year-old Mod Ali, a hearing-impaired child, was chased by stray dogs while riding on a motorbike with his father. The terror of the chase caused them to fall, resulting in head injuries to young Ali and the complete destruction of his RS8 lac cochlear implant. A devastating financial loss for a family that had likely sacrificed enormously to provide their hearing-impaired child with this life-changing technology. In May 2025, in the Wadi area of Nagpur, 6-year-old Swarup Vijay Meshram suffered critical injuries when attacked by a single stray dog while playing outside his home. The attack was so severe that Swarup sustained deep wounds to his neck and limbs, with doctors expressing concerns about possible brain damage. The Bombay High Court has delivered sharp criticism of Nagpur authorities for their inaction in addressing the stray dog crisis. Police officials have stated that existing legal prohibitions against killing or seizing stray dogs severely limit their enforcement capabilities. While international incidents like these grab attention, similar tragedies continue to unfold closer to home. A 6-month celebration cut short the Baytown tragedy. April 1, 2025 should have been a day of quiet celebration for a young family in Baytown, Texas. Their precious 6-month-old daughter had just reached that magical milestone that every parent treasures. Half a year of life filled with first smiles, developing personality, and the growing bond between parents and child that makes every day feel like a gift. At 6 months old, babies begin to show distinct preferences for familiar faces, start to sit up with support, and develop those heart-melting social smiles that make all the sleepless nights worthwhile. They're beginning to interact with their world in meaningful ways, reaching for toys, responding to their names, and starting to show the unique personality traits that will define them as they grow. The family had recently moved into their apartment at the Inverness Gardens apartments complex on E. James Avenue, starting what they hoped would be a new chapter in their lives in a community where their daughter could grow up safely and happily. Moving with a young baby presents its own challenges: disrupted routines, unfamiliar surroundings, and the stress of settling into a new environment while caring for an infant's needs. The family was likely still adjusting to their new home, unpacking boxes while managing feeding schedules, nap times, and the constant vigilance required when caring for such a young child. The attack occurred just before 4 p.m. on that tragic Tuesday when their 1-year-old red-collared pit bull mix suddenly turned on the helpless infant with devastating violence. The dog, which had been living with the family and presumably sharing their daily routines, eating their food, and receiving their affection, transformed without warning from a family pet into a killer. The timing of the attack, in the late afternoon when many families are winding down from the day, makes it even more shocking, as this should have been a peaceful time of day when parents might be preparing dinner while their baby napped or played quietly. What makes this tragedy particularly heartbreaking is the complete helplessness of a 6-month-old baby in such a situation. At this age, infants are just beginning to sit up with support, are starting to show preferences for familiar faces, and are developing the social connections that form the foundation of human relationships. They cannot run, cannot fight back, cannot even understand what is happening to them. The attack left the baby with injuries so severe that despite her mother's desperate attempts to get help, rushing to neighbors while clutching her wounded child, the infant could not be saved. Neighbors who witnessed the aftermath described a scene of absolute horror, with blood covering the child and the mother in a state of profound distress, repeating the words, "God, I trust you," in what appeared to be both a prayer and a desperate attempt to find meaning in an incomprehensible tragedy. These words, spoken by a mother holding her dying baby, capture the desperate faith that people cling to. When faced with situations that defy all logic and reason, the image of a young mother, covered in her baby's blood, seeking help from neighbors while still clinging to faith in the midst of unimaginable horror, represents one of the most heartbreaking scenes imaginable. The family owned 2 pit bull mixes, and the investigation revealed important details about the circumstances of the attack. The second dog, a blue-collared pit bull mix, was secured in a kennel and was not involved in the attack, suggesting that the attacking dog's behavior was not part of a pack mentality, but rather an individual act of aggression. Neighbors reported that they had observed the dog's aggressive behavior and had only seen them in the complex since the previous Sunday, suggesting that the family had very recently moved in and that the dogs may not have been properly acclimated to their new environment. But sometimes, tragic videos spread without complete context, raising more questions than answers. Terror at the school bus stop, the Brazil attack. The morning of July 28, 2025, started like countless others in Iguaracy, Pernambuco, Brazil. 2 mothers stood with their young daughters, ages 2 and 3, waiting for the school bus in what should have been one of the safest routines of family life. The video captures a violent and unexpected pit bull attack as the family was waiting for the school bus when the dog, apparently escaped from its owner's house, aggressively attacked them. The attack unfolded with terrifying speed and aggression. The mothers attempted to shield the children, with one tragically falling and being bitten in the leg. The scene that followed was one of absolute chaos, screaming children, desperate mothers trying to protect their babies, and a relentless animal that seemed determined to cause maximum harm. What transformed this near tragedy into a story of community heroism was the immediate response of bystanders. Screams alerted bystanders, motorists and a biker, who intervened, pried the dog away, and held it down. These strangers, united in urgency to save lives, demonstrated the best of human nature when faced with crisis. A biker, passing motorists, and other community members rushed to help, working together to subdue the attacking animal and protect the vulnerable family. The animal was later captured by city staff and tested for rabies, while the dog's owner reportedly arrived shortly afterward. The incident highlights the serious risks posed by loose, aggressive dogs in residential areas, especially around school zones where children gather daily. While this attack was stopped by heroic intervention, sometimes viral footage raises more questions than it answers. Pit bull attack children playing on a public street. In the age of social media, disturbing footage can spread rapidly across the internet, often outpacing the facts behind the images. A disturbing video capturing a pit bull attacking individuals, children among them, on a public street was released, making a strong visual impact. The footage shows what appears to be a coordinated attack on multiple victims, including children who were simply playing in their neighborhood. What makes this case particularly troubling is not just the violence captured on camera, but the mysterious circumstances surrounding it. Unverified reports reports suggested the dog belonged to a bootlegger and was being used strategically to deter strangers or law enforcement, though these claims remain unsubstantiated by credible sources. The coverage was minimal and lacked detailed background, linking the dog to a bootlegger or noting motive. Despite the dramatic nature of the footage and its viral spread, there is no corroborated source confirming that the dog belonged to a bootlegger or that it was being used strategically to deter strangers or law enforcement. This case represents a troubling trend in the digital age: how dramatic footage can capture public attention and generate speculation, while the actual facts behind the incident remain unclear. No verified information has emerged about ownership details, motive, or context, and no official statements, legal outcomes, or backstory have been found in credible media sources. But while some cases leave us with questions, others remind us that communities can suffer repeated tragedies. Another tragedy in Ghaziabad, a community in shock. Sometimes a community faces back-to-back tragedies that leave residents shaken. In July 2024, Ghaziabad was thrust into the spotlight, this time after a terrifying attack on a young girl riding her bicycle down a quiet neighborhood street. According to police reports, the child, whose name has not been released, was pedaling along the road when she came too close to a passerby walking his German Shepherd. Witnesses say the dog suddenly lunged, knocking her off the bike and biting her multiple times before horrified bystanders rushed to pull the animal away. The attack left the girl with minor injuries to her legs. The incident has reignited debate in Ghaziabad about public safety, leash control, and whether large breeds pose heightened risks in crowded areas. Parents in the community say their sense of security has been shattered, with one local admitting, "Now my children are scared to even go outside with their bicycles. None of us feel safe anymore." Although the little girl survived thanks to quick action from bystanders, the scars, both physical and emotional, will remain. Next up, a teenager's split-second decision, the Grant Brown rescue. In the suburban neighborhood of Conroe, Texas, 19-year-old Grant Brown was going about his typical day when he heard sounds that would change his life forever. The screams of 6-year-old Mason Lindemann pierced through the afternoon air as the child found himself under attack by a pit bull in his own driveway, a place where he should have been completely safe to play and explore. Mason had been playing outside, engaging in innocent childhood activities, when the pit bull targeted the young boy with aggressive intensity. The attack unfolded with the sudden, explosive violence that characterized so many of these tragic incidents. What should have been a peaceful afternoon turned into a life-threatening emergency in seconds. Grant Brown's response to hearing Mason's screams was immediate and instinctive. "As soon as I noticed, I just ran over there without thinking," he would later recall. "I knew I had to get the dog off of the boy." These words capture the essence of heroism, not the calculated bravery of someone who has time to weigh risks, but the split-second decision to place another person's safety above your own. What makes Grant's actions particularly remarkable is that he was not a family member or trained professional. He was simply a teenager who heard a child in distress and chose to act. Rather than attempting to physically overpower the dog, Grant deliberately drew the dog's attention away from Mason, using himself as a distraction to allow the child to escape to safety. Grant suffered cuts to his hands during his struggle with the aggressive dog, injuries that served as lasting reminders of his selfless act. Mason Lindemann sustained a head laceration and bruises during the attack, injuries that were certainly serious but could have been far worse without Grant's intervention. Montgomery County Animal Control took the attacking dog into custody and the dog's owner was cited for the incident. Next up, a brush with danger, the tank, the German Shepherd story. November 2022 began like any ordinary evening in the quiet neighborhood where 6-year-old Bridger Walker, the boy's name as reported in some outlets, though others left him unnamed, was playing in his front yard. For a child his age, afternoons meant energy, laughter, and boundless curiosity, running, tumbling, testing limits, and learning through play. Like so many families with young children, his parents cherished these moments of innocence, the simple joys of watching their son discover the world, even if it was only the patch of grass in front of their home. Their German Shepherd, Tank, was nearby. To the family, Tank was not just a pet, but a companion, a protector whose loyalty had already been proven in countless small ways, sleeping outside the boy's bedroom door, barking at strangers, positioning himself between the child and traffic during walks. Yet on that evening, Tank would go from family pet to savior in the span of mere seconds. The danger appeared without warning. A neighbor's dog, normally kept leashed, broke loose. Witnesses later recalled how the animal charged with startling speed, its eyes locked on the young boy still clutching a toy in his hands. The growls and thundering paws cut through the stillness of the evening, leaving the child frozen in shock. In that instant, the routine joy of playtime transformed into a nightmare scenario no parent ever wants to imagine. What happened next was captured on video and has since been seen millions of times around the world. The footage shows Tank lunging forward at the exact moment the other dog reached the child. With incredible precision, the German Shepherd knocked the boy to the ground, not to harm him, but to shield him, to create distance between the child and the threat. Tank's body became a wall, his snarls and stance daring the attacker to come closer. The other dog hesitated, unnerved by Tank's size and determination, before retreating under the pressure of the Shepherd's defense. Tank remained planted, hackles raised, eyes unblinking, his full attention fixed on ensuring no harm came to the boy lying safely beneath him. For the child's parents, who rushed out upon hearing the commotion, the sight was equal parts terrifying and awe-inspiring. Their son shaken but alive, and their dog standing over him like sentinel. Later, the boy's father would tell reporters, "Tank didn't just protect him, he understood what was happening faster than we did. He knew our son needed him." The video of the attack spread quickly across TikTok and Instagram, reaching over 26 million views in just days. Viewers were captivated not only by the raw heroism of the dog, but also by what it symbolized, the deep, almost mystical bond between children and the animals that protect them. Comments poured in, "That dog deserves the world. A true guardian angel in fur." And perhaps the most striking, "Do you see how Tank knocked him down first? He wasn't attacking, he was saving him." Canine behavior experts who weighed in noted that German Shepherds are uniquely wired for loyalty and protection. Bred for guarding and service, they are instinctively attuned to threats, especially those directed at family members. Tank's response, they explained, was not trained, it was innate. In the moment of crisis, instinct overrode everything, and his only mission was to protect. The story resonated deeply in part because it was a sharp counterpoint to the many tragedies often associated with dog attacks. Where headlines frequently tell of children mauled or even killed by pets or strays, Tank's actions provided a rare reminder of the opposite truth, that dogs, when loyal and protective, can be heroes. Moving on, a girl in India had a horrible experience. A narrow escape, the schoolgirl's ordeal in India. For children across India, the walk home from school is supposed to be simple. Laughter with friends, the weight of a school bag slung over one shoulder, and the anticipation of home at the end of the lane. But in Lucknow, one such walk turned into a terrifying fight for survival, reminding everyone just how quickly safety can turn into chaos. It happened on a late afternoon. A young girl, no older than 12, was returning from school, still dressed in her uniform and carrying her backpack. Witnesses say she was only a few minutes away from her home when a pack of stray dogs began following her. At first, the girl tried to ignore them, quickening her pace, but within moments, the barking escalated. The pack, at least 6 dogs, circled around her, their growls echoing through the narrow lane. Before she could scream for help, the first dog lunged, knocking her to the ground. Footage recorded on a shop's CCTV shows the girl struggling as multiple dogs try bite her bag and claw at her cloth. She tried to shield herself, but the pack was relentless, treating her like prey. Bystanders were frozen at first, stunned by the suddenness of the attack, but within seconds, panic turned into action. A rickshaw driver abandoned his cart to grab a wooden stick, while 2 shopkeepers hurled stones to distract the animals. Several men shouted and charged forward, clapping their hands and swinging anything they could grab. One eyewitness later recalled, "She was screaming, and she was scared. We knew if we didn't act fast, she would be seriously injured right there in front of us." Finally, after an agonizing struggle, the men managed to scatter the dogs. 2 of them lifted the bloodied child and carried her away, as others continued shouting and throwing stones to keep the pack at bay. The attack lasted less than 3 minutes, but for the terrified girl and those who witnessed it, it felt like an eternity. She was rushed to a nearby hospital where doctors treated her for multiple bite wounds on her arms, legs, and shoulders. Emergency rabies vaccinations were administered and stitches were required for deeper cuts. Though doctors confirmed she would recover physically, they warned of the psychological trauma such attacks often leave behind. Her mother, speaking with tears in her eyes outside the hospital, said, "I send her to school every day like any parent. I never imagined something like this could happen. If those men hadn't been there, I would have lost my daughter." The attack has reignited Lucknow's long-running debate over the growing stray dog menace. Residents say this was not an isolated incident. Packs of dogs have been reported chasing children, attacking cyclists, and even targeting the elderly. Local authorities claim sterilization and vaccination drives are underway, but residents argue they are too slow and ineffective. India has one of the world's largest populations of stray dogs, and with insufficient shelters or systematic management, incidents like this are becoming increasingly common. Experts warn that without stronger sterilization, vaccination, and containment programs, communities will continue to face these terrifying encounters. For the young girl, the quick thinking and bravery of complete strangers saved her life, but her ordeal is now a symbol of a broader crisis, one where ordinary citizens are forced to confront dangers that should never exist on a child's path home from school. Next up, we move to the final incident of our list. The boy, the dog, and the hero cat that changed everything. In the sun-drenched suburban neighborhood of Bakersfield, California, 4-year-old Jeremy Triantafilo was living the kind of childhood that parents dream of providing. The boy, who had been diagnosed with mild autism, spent his days riding his bicycle in the family's driveway, a safe space where his parents could watch him play while going about their daily routines. It was May 2014, and the warm California weather had drawn families throughout the neighborhood outdoors, creating the perfect picture of suburban tranquility. Jeremy's autism meant that routine and familiar environments were particularly important for his development, making the family's driveway not just a play area, but a crucial space for his sense of security and comfort. Jeremy's mother, Erica, was tending to her plants, watering them in the peaceful afternoon sunshine, when their neighbor's 8-month-old Labrador chow mix named Scrappy managed to escape through an open gate. The dog, which had never shown signs of aggression toward children, suddenly fixated on Jeremy as he pedaled his small bicycle in circles around the driveway. The fact that Scrappy was still a puppy at just 8 months old made the attack even more shocking. This wasn't an older, potentially more territorial dog, but a young animal that should have been in its most playful and sociable phase. What happened next would be captured on the family's surveillance cameras, creating one of the most viewed and discussed animal attack videos in internet history. The dog approached Jeremy with alarming speed and aggression, biting the child's leg and dragging him from his bicycle to the ground. Jeremy's screams of terror and pain filled the air as the 8-month-old dog demonstrated the shocking strength that even young dogs can possess when they attack. The sight of a small boy being dragged across concrete by an animal nearly his own size created images that would haunt viewers worldwide. But before Erica could reach Jeremy, an unlikely hero emerged from the shadows. Tara, the family's tabby cat who had been adopted as a stray in 2008, came charging across the yard like a furry missile. The 10-pound feline launched herself at the dog with a ferocity that defied every stereotype about cats being aloof or cowardly, body slamming the attacking dog with such force that it released Jeremy immediately and chasing the confused animal away from the wounded boy. Tara's bond with Jeremy had been special from the beginning. She had often stayed close to him and even slept in his crib when he was a baby, suggesting that her protective instincts were deeply rooted in years of caring for this vulnerable child. The entire attack lasted only seconds, but those few moments of violence left Jeremy with 2 deep lacerations on his leg that would require 10 stitches. The surveillance footage, when uploaded to YouTube by Jeremy's father Roger Triantafilo, would go viral almost instantly, accumulating over 16.8 million views in just the first 48 hours. Tara became an international sensation, receiving the Los Angeles SPCA's Hero Dog Award with the word dog scratched out and cat etched in its place. The Bakersfield Board of Supervisors declared June 3, 2014 as Tara the Hero Cat Day, and she served as Grand Marshal for the city's Christmas parade that year. Jeremy, who called Tara my hero, recovered fully from his physical wounds, though the emotional impact would take much longer to heal.